Let's be real about Twitter. Free me. Free me.
Free me.
Free me too.
Free me 3.
That's 4.
I'm sorry, I don't tweet enough.
If y'all don't know, Twitter is banning people for tweeting the word Memphis, MEMPHIS. So it kind of happened out of nowhere, you know.
Yeah, so. It's crazy.
Mm-mm. Well, speaking of Memphis.
Speaking of Memphis, speaking of Twitter, for those who have been living under a rock, well, let's start off with some form of positive news. The Houston Cougars did defeat Cincinnati, the University of Cincinnati, today to win the American, whatever the name of the conference is. Who cares? We'll get to the most important news in a second. But Houston is the winner of the American Conference. So shouts out to them. Anybody want to give them congratulations or high five? Okay, cool. Perfect. So while we're all here, the Memphis Tigers did lose to the University of Houston on yesterday, 76-74. Coach Savage on last week, 7 days ago, said that he would have his team ready. He told us that the Memphis Tigers would, on today, March the 14th, would be cutting down the nets on their way to the NCAA tournament. He did not do a great job of that. So I have listed in the chat the order in which I would like for us to speak and talk about our feelings on yesterday's game. Gentlemen, have at it. Of course, I will go last. Savage, you're lucky I didn't start with you. You're lucky.
Thank God.
Well, yesterday was a pretty bad day overall for me because I know y'all don't care outside Trevor. Tennessee fans well. We blew a game against Alabama. Right after that, Memphis blows a game in Houston. And right after that, Josh Pastner proceeds to win the AAC championship game. Literally right after that. So, just know I went to bed. Pretty much, I fell asleep around at the end of the Georgia Tech game. I fell asleep about 9:30, 10 o'clock last night. We lost an hour of sleep too, so that was cool. That was just a bad day out in general, man. Memphis specifically, like I told y'all, I don't expect them to make free throws. So I hate when fans on Twitter, man, they ain't call no fouls for us. Why do y'all want them to call fouls for us? We don't want to go to the free throw line. We took more free throws. No, he got a funny stat. We attempted 5 more free throws than Houston, 27 to their 22, right? Houston made 4 more free throws than us, 19 for 22, us 15 for 27. So I gotta say, the referees actually tried to help us at some point because DeAndre Williams fouled out. He hooked dude, and they took that jump back. Then they
made up for it with that terrible call.
They fouled him later, but I mean, they might as well have fouled him out the first time because he hooked dude. That was a foul. They actually did always try to help us. Then they took it away anyway. End of the game execution. Shots. It is what it is. We put ourselves in a position where we have to have their game. Have to have the game last Sunday and that one, and we didn't do it. Got to do better in the season. So it is what it is. Salute.
I think at some point, especially Shark, you just hit it on the head. At the end of game execution, you have to look at your coach. Looking at you, Coach Savage, because I can't wait to see what the hell you got to say. Because I put this on you. I blame you. When you're not able to execute at the end of games like you're supposed to, when you're turning the ball over when you're not supposed to, like the defense, hey man, it's a top 10 team. Defensively, I think we could have did a lot better, but I mean, that's just me nitpicking. We did okay, so I'm not even gonna get on our defensive, woes or lack of thereof. But offensively, Coach Savage, for your boys not to be able to do their thing in both games. To close out the game, there we go. Moneybag, what up, Moneybag Joe in the building? He probably agree with me too, keeping everybody semis and stuff. But it is what it is. Savage, the floor is yours, brother, because I love to hear what you got to say. How can you not coach a team to do their thing? Oh, it's going to Sheedy. Damn it, Sheedy, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to disappoint. But we know the Achilles heel of Memphis.
Free throws. Been that way since the team was started.
Free throws, and we can also put on their turnovers. But either way, you don't expose your Achilles heels as much as you can, right? So, and to think of this, like there was a time some years ago, show my age real quick, at least about 20 years ago, where there was a person in the NBA that was so dominant in what he did that they literally started making a hack-a-shack, right? They started putting him on the free throw line. They said, oh, you ain't gonna get the ball and just score in the paint at will. We're gonna foul you, and then you're going to make it at the free throw line. I mean, the man still averages what he did. And I say that to say Memphis's Achilles heel always gets exposed every single game. There's nothing that could have been written to do better with your free throws from last week to this week, unless they didn't shoot free throws at all. That was the only way to get better at free throw percentage, because they're terrible. They're atrocious. There's something like ridiculously
332nd in Division I basketball.
And you might as well include that in Division 2, 3, AA, and all that, because that's tremendously terrible. If you're going to be a top tier team, if you're going to think about a team that's going to make the round of 64, you cannot be in anyone's 1, 2, or 300s shooting free throws. It doesn't happen. And you're not closing out games effectively and with turnovers. This is a team you just saw. You took them to the limit last time. And I guess you kind of took them to the limit again, but it all is going to boil down to that. Shout out to the Tigers. Maybe they get in, maybe not. I know we said that there's a possibility they can get in. The question is going to be, gentlemen, and I'll let Savage go after this. Do you want to see them in? Do we want to see them go into the tournament and then when they get into the tournament, embarrass themselves again within the first round as a maybe as high as 12 seed, maybe, and get exposed? I mean, the exposure is there for Memphis, great. But again, if we're going to lose again to foul shooting and Penny's lack of that, then let's keep it moving.
All right. So one, I would like to see Memphis in the tournament, not because I would pick them to win. I would not. I know for a fact that they would probably lose to a better coach team in that 5 seed, because they probably be a 12 seed. However, I think they need this experience bad. They need to get tournament experience. They need to be placed in situations where you got to figure out where the ball is going. So prime example, my name today is 15 of 27 free throws. We get it. It's been that way since D-Wash back against Louisville back in the day. All that aside, I tweeted out during the game, even prior to them getting up 4, when Jeffries had the ball going down court, I said, Memphis, you don't have to go fast every possession. Get a breather on offense. Like, just stop. Like, stop, hold the ball. You got a 30-second shot clock, bro. Take 15 seconds to get a breather. Get the ball to DeAndre Williams. Let him go to work in the mid-post. He was dominating all game. Let him go to work. Or give the ball to Boogie, who was not missing. Literally was not
Except
missing.
from the free throw line.
Except the free throw line, that's it. But aside from offensively, the last shot of the game was a crazy shot. He made it. Like, just calm down. Find your isolation score, because they have no offense at all. Like, no offense. Like, it's just ISO ball with Dre, ISO ball with Boogie, and pray that we go score. That being said, Jeffries had the ball up 4. They stole the ball. Actually, in my mind, it was like 1 minute left, 1:30 left. And I was like, dude, slow down. Just stop, slow down. You can get a foul. Not to make the free throw anyway, but you can get a foul. You can get a timeout, whatever it is. And they just proceed to just run fast and turn the ball over like usual, And then what made me even more mad is last shot of the game, 30 seconds left. These mugs held the ball for like 17 seconds. Held the ball. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, we gotta go score a bucket or something, like, and then shot an ugly 3. So I am Coach Savage, but I had a game earlier that day with my Knicks playing against the Thunder, which we won by 20 points. So I do not count that game on Coach Savage. I was tired. I had to go from OKC to or wherever the game was at to Houston. So it was a rough game for your boy. However, I do think this is a good learning experience for the Tigers. I wish they could make the tournament. I don't think they will make the tournament, but I would not be surprised if they did, based on the fact that, as everybody tells me, the NCAA likes to make money. There is money in the Tigers making the tournament. However, it's going to be hard to give them any credit without any quad one wins. So, good year for Memphis, but I don't know how to coach free throw shooting. I don't. Like, that's all up here. That's up here. Like, they miss them in the first quarter or first half. They miss them in the second half. It's up here. You can't coach that. I don't know how to coach that. So, that's it.
I think it's just one word before you go, Trev, that'll sum up literally everything that you just said. And that word is excuses. Excuses.
Not for me. Not for me.
Not being available to coach this team the way they're supposed to be coached. Just excuses.
I did my job. We lost by 2 points. I did my job. Bro. I did my job. I can't shoot free throws for everybody. I guarantee you right now. I can go out there right now and shoot 70% from the free throw line. Right now. I can do that right now.
I bet you can.
Sorry to keep you on hold, Trevor, but he did mention something about coaching the Knicks, right? Free patching you in, bro. Why he can't go anywhere in Madison Square Garden?
I don't control Jim Dolan.
I
don't control that. He is
anything he controls. If anything he control you, Savage, it's okay with it.
Yeah, shoot. Honestly, Savage took pretty much most of what I was going to say because I pointed out the same type of things that he just explained during the game. Really, I'm not going to repeat any of those. Memphis very well could have and should have won this game. One thing I will give Penny his credit on is the adjustment he made from the first to the second half because once again, the Tigers were getting destroyed on the glass. I think they still lost the rebound battle. I'm not sure what was the margin. But they did a better job in the second half, which of course aided them eventually getting back in the game. Watching them on offense is terrible. Like I literally play a drinking game with myself. I'm taking a shot each time Memphis runs an isolation play. And that was practically
okay.
That was practically every single play.
You still alive?
Huh? Yes, I am. By the grace of God, I'm still alive here today.
He ain't filled a glass to the bottle away. That's what it was.
No, I was drinking straight from the bottle, brother. It got to a point where I was like, I'm not going to even waste time pouring it into a glass. That's just how bad it was for Memphis offense. Like you really can't coach free throws at this point. As Savage said, 15 to 27, like that's just inexcusable. The only way I would do it is I'm devoting a whole hour. I'm adding an extra hour of practice to specifically for free throws. And every missed free throw, that's a suicide. So at this point, Memphis is running 12 suicides right now, 15 to 27 from the free throw line. That's really the only way that you can fix it, at least if you want to try to fix it. But to close it out on a positive note, it was a great season for the Tigers. I don't see them getting in the tournament. I did say it early in the season. I wanted it to be wrong, but unfortunately, it is what it is. If this team is together next season, look out. I think Memphis is going to be very, very dangerous next season. And it's also unfortunate that COVID happened as well because had we had a tournament last year, I think Memphis would have been in, and we would have gotten that so-called experience potentially that we've been searching for as far as the tournament. So look forward to Memphis in the NIT. See what they do there.
For me, gentlemen, this is disappointing on so many levels. Sharky just mentioned that Josh Pastner, who was a coach for the Memphis Tigers several years ago, recently just made the NCAA tournament. Patrick Ewing just made the NCAA tournament. Juwan Howard, who has been the coach of Michigan for all of 1 year? Second year? Has already made the NCAA tournament. If you would have told me going into this year that all three of those coaches would have made the NCAA tournament and Penny Hardaway had not, I would have called you silly. This loss is disappointing on another level because every reason why they lost the game is the exact reason why they lost the game last Sunday. It's free throws, not boxing out, not rebounding, and turnovers. Y'all understand my hatred for drop passes. Memphis has the worst set of hands I've ever seen in my entire life. I've never seen a team drop the ball, mishandle the ball, be so weak with the ball throughout the entirety of a game. It's frustrating that all these turnovers keep happening. I don't understand how you go 15 of 27 from the free throw line. Trevor, you mentioned about adding an extra hour of practice, like to shoot free throws. That's all they should have been doing all week. That's all they should have been doing. At this point, you know the playbook. You know what the defensive stats look like. You know what Houston looks like. Shoot free throws the entire week. So that way, free throws are not the reason you lose the game, yet it was again. I honestly don't know what to say. Will the team be back in its entirety? I doubt it. I'm pretty sure Landers Nolly is probably going to the league in some form or fashion. I expect somebody's leaving, somebody's transferring. I just feel it because the team was in such a disarray earlier in the season, so I'm not sure if everybody's willing to come back after that. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm not frustrated. I'm just more so disappointed because they have the talent. How many teams are in the tournament or for March Madness? 70 something. 68. It ain't 60 teams better than Memphis. Trust me, it's not. But if you're going to continue to play the way you did yesterday and even the game before that, you have no choice but to get in the tournament. I'll be surprised if they're selected to go into the field, but they just don't deserve it. Like you can, all these commentators can give Memphis all this credit that they want to on national TV. It's fine, but guess what? They don't have a vote. They don't have a say so in who gets into the tournament tonight. And it's disappointing that Memphis played the way that they did to lose their game. That's what I have to say.
Real quick. So Grimes, Grimes, oh my God. Yes. He need to be on somebody's roster next year in the NBA. That's one. He was a first-team performer in the American Conference. Where the hell was Landers Nolly? Like, first-team all-conference? And couldn't – I mean, did he score? Did he score? Like –
he doubled him a lot, actually.
He got clamped, but, I mean, let's not act like Memphis wasn't putting hands in Grimes' face on them threes. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I was disappointed.
How much he scored, man?
So 4 points. I don't even remember him being in the game, to be honest. I don't even
remember. In both games?
That's terrible.
First game he had like 20.
No, the second game against Houston. First game, I think he had like, 15 or something like that?
Yeah, about 20.
And to be honest, that's indicative of Memphis as a whole. They don't have like a focus on offense. Like they have too many players that want to score their points. Like get one or two dudes and then get specialists around. Like I'm cool with Boogie. Boogie is cool with me as far as like being the top scorer. Like let's get a defensive specialist over here. Let's get a shooter over here. Like I said it before at the beginning of the season. Go get some white boys from private schools, please.
They're not gonna do it.
I'm saying that's Coach Saps. Like go get some white boys from these private schools that can shoot. Like stop getting the same player over and over again. Like we got them now. We got 6 or 7 dudes now. Go get some shooters, please.
And you asked where Landers Nolly was. Where was DJ?
Yeah, he was there too.
DJ had a lot of promise coming out of Olive Branch, and you give him a slack because he got hurt last year. But this was the year you expected DJ, if he wasn't the best player on the team, to at least be the second best player on the team. He wasn't even getting clocked at the end. He was getting clocked, but that 5 that they ran at the end of the season, he wasn't part of it, and it's because he wasn't performing well. And so I think that's another part of it. It's just like part of it is just like I'm not seeing players grow in their role or on the team. That's the other thing for me.
Done talking about these folks. Let's move on to real talk. All right, as we're recording, the March Madness bracket will be releasing, so I'll give updates on where everybody's at. Salute to Ohio State, Sheedy. Y'all in dog fight for the Big Ten title right now against Illinois, so at least somebody's team on this podcast. Well, Tennessee and us and me, Trevor, they'll make the tournament, but they ain't gonna
like Texas. Didn't Texas win something? They lost.
Texas won.
There you go.
They doing their thing this season.
They're dangerous too. Yeah. So.
Yes, they are.
Finally.
Yep. Hopefully Memphis gets to that final point.
One day.
One day. Wishful thinking.
We have a dream, man. We have a dream.
That's all about wishful thinking.
Yeah, Mississippi, yeah, so State. Yep. Hope y'all pull it out. Y'all down by 3 with 40 seconds. So, real talk. It's been 1 year. It's March 14th. March the 11th last year, Rudy Gobert tested positive for COVID-19, and the world as we know it was shook. I mean, it's all changed since then. Personal lives, of course, it started with sports, but it went everywhere, right? So the question I have for this podcast is life right now what you envision when COVID first happened? And what I mean by that is when it first happened, and not even your thoughts when it first happened, but even like probably a month later, did you think what's going on now with us getting the vaccine, did you think it'll come this late, or did you think that we're already back to normal right now? In order to Sheedy, Skylar, Savage, and Trevor.
Interesting you started with me first, right? Honestly, one of the reasons I moved to Phoenix is because of a guesstimation, right? A guesstimation that the world will be, back to normal or getting, back to normal and whatnot. And, I was in a decision to where, okay, do I want to stay here in Memphis, or do I just want to, once I see the world open back up, do I want to stay in Memphis or move elsewhere? Long story short, I'm here in Phoenix now. And it's, in March, and yesterday I was chilling at an open bar. You know what I'm saying? Right. Shitty Pac. But no, so I was at a bar yesterday, and then life is somewhat back to normal, and I think I was able to say that I made the right decision as far as my life goes, because I knew last year that, hold on, the world's not gonna miss out on a lot of money. You got sports events happening. We were able to see the NFL season go through, which all of us, I think, can agree on we didn't expect to see. The NBA, for the most part, has been doing their thing. So it's the world's don't open up at a certain point, even if it's 50, 60%. And what we're seeing now is that, you got some states in the South that's 100% capacity. Pretty cool. I think my prediction pretty much came into fruition. We got here, I think Phoenix is 100% capacity. Cool. You know what I'm saying? As far as the mask mandates go, I mean, people still wear their masks or not. Like I said, I don't want my thoughts on any of our platforms to be a, insensitive matter. And I'll leave it at there. But the world's opening back up, and I see, the world continue to open back up. Will I think concerts will be a thing? I think so. It depends on where. So I think the world is getting back to normal. But, we started off with grabbing as much tissue and paper towels, and everything at the beginning, to now it's been kind of crazy to see.
Yeah. First of all, salute to you too, because the pandemic really took away your main source of income, right? You're a DJ, right? And people couldn't get together and congregate, and you are a testament of making it through COVID, even with the restrictions that were in place. So salute to you, even though you went from Memphis to Phoenix, you still one of us. And so
absolutely.
For that, when I think about COVID, I distinctly remember there was we were in school, and I remember it was a Thursday, I believe, and students were asking me Mr. Rod, we gonna come back to school tomorrow? Are we really gonna do this? And I'm like, what y'all mean? What's going on? And that was when that first COVID test actually hit Memphis. And then after that, they shut it down, right? And so in my head, I knew that there was going to be another wave of COVID because I did my research. I was reading up on it, especially around the flu-ish season, that it would happen or that it would get worse. I'm thankful for the vaccines. I'm one of the people that has got the vaccination shot. Of course, there's others on this show as well to get there. But the COVID-19 itself is not a dog to play with at all. And what it can do to you physically is bad, but also the strain that it can put on you mentally because of your physical state is horrible. And so to the point of too, we don't want to be indifferent from how people feel about it. We all have our different opinions in that regard. And where we're at now, we're still wearing masks. Yes, we're opening back up, right? We can get some more people in, having some more joyous times, which I think when you look back at 2020, there's not too much joy that you recall from 2020. We weren't going on vacations. We weren't doing weddings. We weren't doing stuff like that because of the restrictions. So 2020 was really a shot of joy gone. And so I look at 2021 as now a chance to redo what 2020 could have been had we been following the rules, so to speak, in its entirety. And so I look forward to what we'll look for, like I said, for 2021. I really, really, really want more of an emphasis on the kids. And then what will this mean for our kids as they grow up? Like, what are they going to recall 2020 as? And I'll say this before I pass it on to Skylar. Aiden has a book that he reads that has actual signs in it that say, schools are closed due to COVID-19, or parks are closed due to COVID-19. This was a real thing that happened. So what are our kids going to say about this year in general? Sort of like how do we talk about 2001, I believe, when the towers were hit for September 11th. Even though that was just a one incident, this was a complete year. But I'm curious to see how the kids will take it, a decade from now. Passing over to Skylar.
Yeah, appreciate it. To answer your question, Sharky, is life now what we envisioned like a year ago? For me, no. I think when COVID started to hit the U.S. and it really started to hit Memphis, I think my mindset was, okay, everything will be back to normal come the summertime, because sports is coming, to your point, too. Money got to be made. And you're closing all these businesses down for COVID restrictions, quarantining, whatever the reason it may be. So I was one of those people. We'll be fine come the summertime. And then the summertime hits, and we still had nothing, right? So then, as the summertime gets here, I was like, okay, if nothing else, we'll be fine after the election. After the election, we still had nothing, right? And so you fast forward to now, we are mid-March of 2021. And it's hard to envision what we've gone through. I think individually and collectively, it's hard to envision what we went through all last year. I think all of us had either some good things happen to us, some bad things happen to us. We lost people. We gained some. We gained a couple of people. Sheedy had a Leia. I had Eva, and so we're thankful for things like that. But I think we still had things where like things didn't go well, whether it was deaths or people lost jobs and things like that. So as we sit here in March, it seems as if we're on the up and up. It seems as if things are opening up. I just hope that we as a country continue to do what we are supposed to do, that whether it's wearing masks, if you're one of those people that want to get the vaccine, go get the vaccine so we can have some form of a summer, so that if nothing else, we can have some form of a holiday. Because it was even weird for holidays where only so few of us, or even if you were able to meet up with your family or friends or whatever, it was hard to even restrict that to a certain amount of people. So I'm hoping we all do what we're supposed to do, so that way we have some form of a 2021. Because I would like to have my season tickets back for the Tigers. I'm still gonna do it. Yeah. So I hope that we have some form of a good year going forward.
Yeah, I was one of those people who thought that it would get cleared out by the summertime, just because we didn't know what we were dealing with. But I kind of feel like maybe it's like a flu type of thing, whatever. But it does affect people differently. Unfortunately, it didn't affect me too bad, aside from the loss of taste and smell. But I mean, it did hurt people with like aching. I actually had a student who had a really bad case of COVID a couple of weeks ago, actually, and she just recovered from that. She had to actually go to the ER because it was so bad for her. But yeah, the first thing that I think about, at least in my profession, is like, how does this impact the students and kids? Because so much was lost in education last year. You had people who couldn't access internet, couldn't access their school systems in terms of like logging in online. And so those students at some point are going to get passed along to the next level. And, they're not going to be as prepared, as if they were in person. And as a person who works in higher education, I see that now with students coming in who are not prepared for, college. And so I think about that in terms of like just how COVID has had an impact and how it would, how it impacts us, in the future. And personally for me, y'all know my wife is pregnant. And so that has kind of restricted the celebration of her being pregnant. So she didn't get to go to church and see people like, oh, you're pregnant. People haven't seen her in months since she first was pregnant, like in September, you know what I'm saying? So, and now she's about ready to pop in like 2 months. So that part was kind of, I don't say sad, but kind of like as a person, this is my first child, so I'm missing out on like celebrating life pretty much. Now to some extent, we are going to be able to do that through like the baby shower next week, but still, it's like that's not normal for us as a society. So what do I see it changing in the future? Hopefully, it does get better. I think it will get better because states are opening up for whatever reason. But I think that's due in parts that everybody's getting the vaccine now, and at some point we'll get herd immunity. I personally am not getting the vaccine just yet because I want to be able to get it with Kiera, and we don't know how that will impact the baby in terms of like breastfeeding. So I'm hoping that it gets better. Am I expecting it to happen soon? I don't know. So yeah, y'all getting vaccines? Hey, kill it, but stay safe, and hopefully we can get past this.
Yeah, just like everyone else has pretty much said, a year ago at this time, I pretty much thought that everything would have been done and eradicated by the summer, but of course that wasn't the case. Speaking to which, the scholar with the holidays, for those that don't know, like I literally had to spend Christmas quarantine because I was diagnosed with COVID on December 19th. So I literally had to spend my Christmas holiday sitting in this very seat I am in my own apartment, on top of losing taste and smell. So there was no, spending time with family or anything of that nature. I literally was stuck in here with my wife, and she was having the quarantine in the next room. So for me, do I think things will get better? I can surely hope so. My wife and I do plan to make an appointment to get the vaccine very soon. And just from everything just taking its toll from 2020, it has taken its toll, especially for me working in the nonprofit industry. St. Jude lost millions and millions of dollars just based on the number of events that they had to cancel because of COVID. But they've since been able to bounce back and adjust by transitioning most of everything to virtual. But besides all of that, hopefully we can get back to everything by the summertime. I have traveled some since then, but it hasn't been too much of anything. But even then, my wife and I was like, okay, if we're traveling anywhere and we come back, we're going to quarantine for 2 weeks. We're not going anywhere. And then if anything comes up, we're going to get tested to make sure that everything is everything. So what for me, I know 2020 didn't have a lot of joy. I just want to send special thank you to Versus, even though they eventually got sold. The Last Dance being pushed up to April because that was originally supposed to air in June around NBA Finals time, and Insecure. So thank you to those three shows for helping me and my wife, for that matter, get through 2020. So.
Yep. And shout out to more shows. I mean, Netflix came with it, Money Heist, Snowfall, some new shows got introduced to, Ozark. I'm still currently watching now. So, I mean, and of course, that's counting as other shows. Everybody been binge watching, catching up on different stuff. So, Netflix, HBO Max, hallelujah. Thank God.
That's where it's at.
That is a godsend right there. I swear.
Love. That's love.
Yes.
But for me, yeah, by this time I thought we would be done. I mean, first hitting. Now, of course, like I said, before Rudy Gobert tested positive, I really want to take, and all of us really want hurt hearing about COVID, right? So I really want to take it serious. Oh, they're gonna talk about no fans can be at the games. What? Then he tests positive. This one was like, oh, this is real. And then, like I said, then you see people are dying from it. Or then you see some of y'all get it, Savage, Trevor, Sheedy, like y'all got it and y'all had symptoms, taste, smell, and losing things like that. And I know how it feels lose smell at least. I had the flu a couple years ago. So it's rough. And you're just thinking like, man, it's scary. And same with Savage, you can't fully enjoy, the pregnancy of Kiera. And same with me, like I'm getting married in August. I'm just hoping I don't have to wear a mask, and I probably will still have to, but everything might be getting back to a little bit of normalcy. But the same thing, we just can't just truly celebrate our full engagement right now because we're still stuck in this pandemic. So
Pandora.
I mean,
Pandora.
Panoramic.
But I just remember when it first happened. I just remember I forgot from Pieces Mafia. I can't think his name right now. He said, man, summer is right around the corner.
Shout out Project Pat.
No corona. Like, yeah, I just hear that like, man, summertime.
Go get a boo.
Hey, summertime, bro. Man, it's gonna be gone. Shit.
Little did we know.
Man, and we done went through so much, man. We had the biggest snowstorm we ever had before here in Memphis, man. Since we've been born, at least, I had what they said, 1960s, 80s, or whatever, when that last is biggest snowstorm we had. So, I mean, through all the y'all, we all have grown. Just think about it, we were recording in person. I mean, I've seen y'all at different spots in person, but we all together, all six of us haven't been together since before that, right? So it's a lot of things I had to get used to this virtual thing, but it's been fun. Well, it's been this has been fun, but not the whole COVID thing. But like I said, glad we all are doing well. We all come out of it stronger than ever. Hopefully we get back to normal sometime soon. And that's why I wanted to bring the question up, man. It's been a year. Kind of wanted to dwell a little bit. We haven't checked in on each other in that regard in the second either. So it's been good. Anybody got anything else?
Yeah, quickly, one thing you didn't mention show-wise, I want to make sure we include there is, let's be real. We didn't stop recording during the pandemic, and we brought content that was definitely different than what you heard on a Monday through Friday basis, where all they could talk about was LeBron, or like more LeBron. And so, or maybe Thomas, maybe got some tick in there, but like, we legitimately and strategically made sure that you had content available that was relevant to what was going on. So if you didn't get a chance to binge us during then, do it now, because we come for everything that we are needed and earned in 2021.
Right.
Look, we did all that and didn't even ask for a thank you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the least you can do is say thank you.
Right. And not to mention all the not to mention the police killings, right? So we did have a lot of unfortunate things, but that was going on before the pandemic, right? It just became even more publicized because we were all stuck in the house, right? So, like I said, good work. Proud of all of us, and we on our way. Sheedy, I know something else you're proud of.
Hey,
Man,
you think he's proud?
So proud of the New Orleans Saints for signing a trash quarterback for $35 million a season.
Shoot, me too. They ain't out of vision.
Because it makes the $40 million for Dak a little better to digest. And so I am the third installment, I believe, on what's wrong with your team. And what I'll do is share my screen. I know I'll have plenty of comments as we begin. Please hold off on all comments until we're ready. And that by we, I mean me. So let me show you the screen.
And the Titans one will be coming tomorrow, and Let's Tighten Up podcast live at 7:00. So
I just have to make sure you say on
not getting the Eagles.
You probably gonna get the Eagles.
Do y'all want the Eagles?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Wait, is the Cowboys still America's team?
No. You can clearly see my slide. So let's go ahead and begin.
That's why America's so garbage. Oh my goodness.
So let's discuss Sheedy and America's team. Because last time I checked on Forbes, we were definitely there. Not sure about the Panthers. Speaking of that, since 2016,
that's why America's so garbage.
So we are 1-2 in the playoffs. So there's one thing that we do as Cowboys fans. We always live in the past. So let's live in the last 5 years of this trash that we put together. Since 2016, we are 1-2 in the playoffs with only 2 berths. For those of you that don't remember this was our blunder with the Seahawks for a field goal with Tony Romo. This is prior to 2016. However, it's still relevant for today. Last season, out with the old and in with the older, right? So Jason Garrett was gone, but we also replaced a lot of our newer or older defensive line with older defensive linemen. So that's why I started with out with the older and in with the older. Mike McCarthy is older than Jason Garrett, but is also a Super Bowl winning head coach. So I don't want to disrespect him in that regard. And also always has really, really rocky starts with his teams for the first season, if not the second season. But it was the season we went 6-10. We lost 4 one-possession games. So if we split that, we're 8-8. If we just win one game, we all know that we are at least in the playoffs. However, in that same vein, we are one squib-ish kick, which became an onside kick that the Falcons didn't recover from being 5-11 as well. We'll speak about that a little bit later. We finished 12 out of 16th in the NFC, which is god-awful. And we were scoring 24 points a game, but giving up close to 30. We all know that is a recipe for disaster. What was missing? Immediately, Dak was missing. He only missed our last 11 games. He was 2-3 before then. Our offensive line, and that's something that I think at least the Steelers definitely talked about, I believe prior as well as the Panthers. 4 out of 5 All-Pros from 2019 missed a significant part of 2020, if not all of them. You're talking our center, our 2 offensive tackles, and our All-Pro guard. We went from second best in sacks allowed to 7th worst. A game that's built in the trenches. If you ask Aaron Rodgers if he would take back that game with his offensive tackle for Green Bay, I'm sure he would. If you ask Patrick Mahomes if he would take back that game with his offensive line fully intact, I guarantee you he would. And also I put what was missing was defensive support. And as much as I put defensive support, you have to be willing to win on one side of the ball. When Dak went down, we knew that offense was not going to win us games at all. But I mean, the defense looked lackluster at many of times, especially after they got a turnover, and the offense refused to score after that. And I would be too if I was on the defense. So I completely understand. But those hogs up front for our offensive line were a big reason why we couldn't do what we did. Along with not even having a 1,000-yard rusher, which is one thing I didn't put on here. Zeke did not get 1,000 yards last season. 2021 season, as you can see on the background, safety first. So the safety protocol. I said go get Anthony Harris from the Minnesota Vikings. He played all 16 games, has 104 total tackles. We've seen what a safety can do, and he's younger, right? I like Patrick Peterson also, but moving from a corner back to a safety position. We need to draft a corner. I'm saying preferably Patrick Surtain, the second from Alabama. When he was one-on-one with receivers, 40% of the passes caught against him, as opposed to 2/3 of those passes were caught for Dallas. We have to start somewhere, and I'd rather get it in the draft than actually having to pay someone for that. And I talked about the offensive line. We'll definitely have our tackles back, but in the second round, addressing some more offensive line struggles. So yes, I do love Ohio State, and so Wyatt Davis as a standout guard. You're talking about an all-conference player 2 years in a row for that, or also Quinn Mraz, if I'm even saying that right, but he's the top-rated center and supposed to be available for the second round. These are things that I believe we need to position ourselves back to. We did well. Dak did well. Zeke did well. The Dallas Cowboys did well when we addressed the offensive line. But then, of course, like I said, the money that we have saved by getting Dak, go find Anthony Harris or someone suitable for that. So, of course, in Dak we trust, signing a 4-year deal, leaving an extra $20 million for free agency. Bring in Dan Quinn, Super Bowl credentials, not the Falcons coach. As you can see in the background, I found a picture of him with Seattle, where he went back-to-back Super Bowls. Yes, he did have the Legion of Boom and a great defense, but even with great talent, you must still be able to coach that talent in some way, shape, or form. So I believe if we just making Dan Quinn just defense only, let's see what he can do. And then a second chance for older vets on D-line, Gerald McCoy, who we got from the Panthers. Want to see what he's like. He didn't even play last season. You're talking about Alden Smith, who revitalized his career for us there. But we need a strong start and a strong presence on the D-line to help out with that. Now, last part, as you can see in the background, star power. That is Super Bowl 30. As everyone likes to allude to, the last time the Cowboys meant anything and were a Super Bowl team. I get it. So I wanted to drop it in there. was Super Bowl 30. That's the last time we won a Super Bowl, right? Yeah, not the last time we lost. So for the Cowboys, these are what we have coming up for us. We'll be seeing the NFC South. So that is the Falcons and Panthers, along with the Saints and Buccaneers. We also have the games against the Raiders, Broncos, and Cardinals at home. The Cardinals is going to be a tough match, especially with J.J. Watt on that team now. And away, so we got to go see Patrick Mahomes. I'm not really concerned about the Chargers or Vikings. I am concerned about the Buccaneers for sure. And, of course, our usual foes with Philly, as Savage will allude to, we always split 1-1. I believe we'll also split 1-1 with Washington. I actually have us going 10-6 at least for this, which is a turnaround from last season where we were 6-10. But I'll stop there and be ready to receive the slander that is LBR in regards to the Cowboys.
Go ahead, go to.
Yeah, go ahead, too.
Well, I gotta go first.
You want to be serving him.
I mean, the thing is, like, when Lito brought up the fact, like, can you name a team that give up a ball more earlier in the podcast? I wanted to say the Cowboys, right? Because y'all did give up, the third most fumbles in the league. So how do you fix that? I guess coach, owner, affiliate cheating. I don't even know what to call you. I guess fan, follower.
Super fan. Okay. But I would one, Zeke wasn't in the right headspace. Those first 6 games where he gave up a lot of those fumbles. Some other careless turnovers come from the backup quarterback, which was Andy Dalton. Along with we've had 4, or was it 5? It was 4 different starting quarterbacks, 5 quarterbacks altogether play within the season. When you limit that to just one, that timing is better. How the wide receivers come out of routes and reading the routes better, reading the defense that is getting played against you is better as well. When you're putting that all in Dak, and Dak we trust. So hopefully we can do better with our turnovers this upcoming season.
So, especially Dak we trust. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like that contract?
On a scale from 1 to 10, knowing what's coming up for this next off season, in regards to cap space, I give it at least an 8. Because like I said, we're freeing up $20 million. Whereas if we were to franchise tag them, we wouldn't have as much money on the table. And I want to use that money to go get a safety. We've seen what's happened in Pittsburgh with a safety, and other teams around the league. Tampa Bay Buccaneers had an outstanding defensive backs as well. So go get a safety. I'm tired of looking at Darren Woodson old photos and not seeing something way more current.
Yeah, I guess the last question, because I know y'all got some. 1995. How in your honest words, how y'all still America team?
There's that old saying, I can show you better, I can tell you, right?
But y'all ain't been showing us nothing.
Well, that's not what the bank's saying. And so again, if you check the Forbes list, we still are right up there in the top 5, I believe, with teams around with the Lakers. It might be the Steelers, maybe up there. I'm not sure.
Yankees.
But I know for sure there's a team in the Carolinas that's definitely not there, and not going to be America's team. Now I could see maybe the Patriots, but nobody liked the Patriots. For some reason, more people like the Cowboys than the Patriots. So we are America's team still.
It's gonna come down at the end of the day. Jerry Jones may go down as the biggest robber in like robbery history. Like he getting that cash from y'all. Y'all paying him for mediocrity.
That man bought our team and we didn't have nothing for real. Made that trade with Herschel Walker and gave us 3 Super Bowls. So as much as I hate that man for what he's done for the past 20 to 30 years, I obviously be supportive of him for what he did to get us back to where we were at after with Staubach.
And got that nice stadium that we all went to for the Cotton Bowl the year 2.
Mm-hmm.
True. I give him that.
I'll go next. So I said on IDK that based on Dak's contract this year, so his base salary this year is just $9 million. That goes up exponentially the following, second, third, fourth year. So in my viewpoint, let me ask you this. I think that the Cowboys are going for the Super Bowl this year because our division, as you know, is terrible. We're not expected to compete next year. Washington's not going to compete next year. The Giants still get Daniel Jones as their quarterback. So, Sheedy, is it fair to assume that y'all should be competing for the Super Bowl next year based on what I just said?
Yes, it is fair to assume that. I think that also was in the cards as of last season for us.
And the season before then, and the season before then, and the season before then, and the season before then.
You might have to go back, like 11 years for the Panthers. I get it. But, I think it's, again, Super Bowl or bust. I think that's always going to be the mantra for the Cowboys. But, yes, I do see that right now with the cap space in regards to your question.
Okay. Fair.
For me, really good job on the PowerPoint, by the way. I think what you did a good job of is highlighting what you really need. I think offensively, I think you guys are good. I think you guys are set. I think y'all probably have the best wide receiving core in the league with Amari Cooper, who, of course, can be up and down, but he can still give you some yards. He can give you some yards there. CeeDee Lamb is good. And I forgot the other guy's name. Forgot the other guy's name. But my question to you is, what's the biggest thing that concerns you going into next season? What's the biggest thing that concerns you? Is it Mike McCarthy? Is it are you going to draft the right player with the first and second round picks that you guys have? Is it defense? What's your biggest concern?
Sorry, great question. And Trevor, I know I saw your hand go up after Skyler as well. First of all, let's address the wide receiver issue, and then I'll talk about my biggest concern. Michael Gallup had an off year this year. That was because of the relationship between him and Dak have. That timing is there, and it's there for those two, and it's not there for Andy Dalton and all the other quarterbacks that we got from Mount Moriah to try to suit up. So I'll say that. I would say my biggest concern is, how do we turn the defense around? To your point, Skyler, and I think other people's point too, we have it there offensively, but what do we do defensively to not let teams put up 29 points every time they are across the field from us? So what is Dan? And to me, that starts with Dan Quinn, the coach now, will be our coordinator. So what is he going to bring to us that he couldn't really bring with Atlanta? But he definitely brought with Seattle. So that's why I chose him in the Seattle attire instead of any other attire, because that was the Super Bowls that he went to in both years that he was there as a defensive coordinator that landed him the job eventually with Atlanta. And so I want to see what he's like now back as a defensive coordinator, such like when I'm about to say this and then pass over, like Leslie Frazier, right? A coach that was a head coach. Didn't work out well, didn't pan out well, but then became a defensive coordinator again and did amazing, right? And brought his team to where they were going. So that my biggest concern is defense, and then how do we manage what we have defensively as well?
All right. Well, Skylar took my other question that I had as far as what was going to be a biggest concern. But kind of just to add on a little bit to what Savage said, given everything that's going on with you guys in the NFC East, given that you guys are pretty much going to run away with it. I know you originally said 10-6, but could I challenge you just a little bit to at least go a game better and say that y'all go 11-5? Because I think 11-5, 12-4 could potentially be in y'all range just from looking at y'all's schedule.
Yeah, I think the other part is what is the 17th game, right? And how that happens as well. That has not been, to my understanding, put out there yet. I think 11, to me, with the division the way it is that Savage talked about, that we all know, the only really contender besides us, to me, is just Washington because of how great their defensive line is. They don't have a quarterback realistically that's going to lead them there, so that's another issue for another day. But I think, a 10-win season wins us the NFC East for sure. I would love for us to get 11-5 or 11-6, whatever the 17th game is. Would love that. But I'm really good at 10. But yeah, I can see us pushing for 11. But that would also mean I think that we would sweep some of our divisional foes as well, which again can happen as well.
All right.
Hey, shit, that game in Carolina, ain't it? I mean, in Dallas, ain't it? It's in Dallas or Carolina?
Let me see. It is a home, so it's in Dallas.
You want to go?
I probably will. We can work that out.
Let's go. Yeah, let's work that out.
Mm-hmm.
Great PowerPoint though. Great job. Great job.
Go ahead, Shark. What you got for me?
My only question is, I guess, can you speak more on what it's going to be? So I know Skyler said he likes y'all offense. I do too, but offensive line matters, right? If you want to really do something, right? What is your concerns and how do you think y'all are going to fix that free agency draft? Or is Tyron Smith coming back? You know, like what questions would be answered with the offensive line, do you think, going forward?
Yeah, thank God. Actually, both our tackles, Collins and him, will be back. Smith will be back together. And so I think the only thing that's why I said in the second round, let's start looking at more offensive line. If you ask me, I believe there's enough talent, offensive line talent, that we can wait until the second round and third round because we have some other conditional picks that have come through now as well. And I think you just draft the line the same way we did in the past. You draft the best available offensive lineman, no matter what that can be. And if that means drafting an offensive tackle, then you draft that offensive tackle and see if you can convert him maybe to a guard, or maybe he learns beneath those two. But we can't go away from anything else in the draft besides offensive line after we address a defensive back. And to me, I don't believe there's a game changing to the point that the Steelers have a game changing safety in the draft. I don't think there's one there, but you do get a top corner from a very great program in Alabama. And then you make your way with the offensive line for the second and third rounds and build up from there. And I think free agency will be used for hopefully buying a game-changing safety and possibly getting some other corners. Y'all let go of Malcolm a little bit. He's playing Malcolm in the middle, so who knows where he goes for that. But again, we address, and to my understanding, I would love to see us address more of the offensive line. And what I've seen is that we are looking to do that as well, starting the second round. But we all know things can change in Jerry world.
Most definitely. All right. Anybody else got anything?
It's great.
Thank you. Y'all put some really, really heavy examples ahead of me, so thank y'all.
Yeah. Like I said, Titans, what's wrong with my team tomorrow, and it'll be dead in the middle of tampering period. So stuff might be coming out live during my show tomorrow. So tune in. I'll be keeping everyone updated as stuff rumors pop out. All right, Trevor.
All right, you guys. So let's have a little fun here. So earlier this week, just so happened just to be on Twitter back when I wasn't banned. Back when you could say Memphis without being banned. So I ran across a tweet from B Souls, who's a NBA content creator who primarily puts his stuff on YouTube. So shout out to him. He basically tweeted, he said, reply to this with your favorite individual regular season from the past decade. It was a tweet, basically. And he highlighted his was for his favorite was Isaiah Thomas from the 16-17 NBA season. So, of course, I responded with my two that I had. And, of course, Brother Sheedy responded and brought to me that it was a nice topic. So, just want to go around. We'll start Savage, Skylar, Sharky, Took, Sheedy, then myself. Favorite regular season individually for the past decade. And by the decade, I mean from the 2010-11 season. And if that season that you're naming is still going on now, we'll open it up to the 2020-2021 season. So.
All right. So I think I didn't want to do like an obvious pick because I feel like anybody could say Kobe or LeBron or whoever. So I'm gonna go with a player that I was able to witness firsthand, literally behind the Byzantine bench. I'm gonna go with Zach Randolph in 2010, 2011. Put up 20 points a game, 12 rebounds, and 2 assists per game. And the numbers are obviously, a double-double, but like that was every freaking night for Zach Randolph. Like I've never seen a player that can jump this high score so many points. Like the man could just score automatically, and that season was so vital to like what we see now with the Grizzlies. Even though they lost today to the Thunder, y'all listen to that on Starting Five podcast. But like that season was just so good because there was so much change and shifting of the team with OJ moving around, Rudy getting hurt, and then inserting Tony, inserting Tayshaun Prince, Shane Battier was coming in. It was a lot of different stuff going on. And for the Grizzlies to go into that season, into the playoffs, and then beat the Spurs, and Tim Duncan could not guard Zach Randolph. And I think people don't talk about that season enough because Tim Duncan, he old, but that's still Tim Duncan, man. That's still the greatest power forward of all time. And Z-Bo was giving him that work from that right block every single game. So I'm going to go with Z-Bo, Zach Randolph, one of the best Grizzlies players in the game.
Good choice. So I cheated a little bit. I actually went with – so there was at one point in my NBA fandom career that I wasn't the biggest LeBron fan. I was just kind of one of those people that like disrespected LeBron, never really respected his greatness until the 2017-2018 year. That year he averaged 27.5 points per game, 9 assists in the regular season. Went on to play 82 games in the regular season. For me, that was big because before that year, there was always talk about from the media, from fans, that LeBron doesn't take the regular season seriously, or he picks and chooses when he wants to take off here and there. So LeBron just said, okay, cool, fine. I'll play all 82. He played all 82 and proceeded to give everybody 34 points, 9 assists in the playoffs, and dragged that Cleveland Cavaliers team to the finals. And of course, they got the brakes beat off them by the Golden State Warriors that year. But for me, that was impressive. It was just because LeBron pays attention to everything that's out there. He pays attention to everything. And I think every time there's something negative that's said about him, he said, okay, cool, fine. I'll check that off the list. I'll check that off the list. I'll check this and I'll check that. And so I just think that was big because he had gotten to the point where he was just like, okay, I'm going to do everything that y'all are ridiculing me for, and I'm just going to do it. And I just think that's when I said, okay, now I'm a cool, big fan of LeBron James because not only what he did in the regular season, but he really took that Cleveland Cavaliers tape and then he balled out and put up 34 games. So for me, that was impressive.
So mine still is Derrick Rose, 2010, 2011. 22 years old, won MVP award, and that was back in my Bulls fandom days. And no, I'm not becoming a fan again, Savage. You can stop tweeting at me, you and my guy. But that year was amazing because that was the year the big three formed in Miami, right? LeBron, D-Wade, and Chris Bosh. And it was just like, oh, they're going to roll over the East, which they still did. They beat us in 5 games in the playoffs. But the regular season, we thought the Heat was just going to roll over the regular season. And the Bulls came out, Tom Thibodeau, then that was the first year head coach. Derrick Rose, second year in the league, became an all-star. And like I said, came out 25 points a game. They was trying to get LeBron to come to Chicago. He didn't come. He's aspiring to us from Miami. And Derrick Rose went out and said, "Nah, I'm gonna get the Bulls to the number 1 seed." So that year, it showed me a lot about him. Unfortunately, we know what happened the next year. Terrence ACL, and it wasn't the same again. But seeing Derrick Rose, the potential of him at that time, he already showed it. It was amazing. It's like,
yeah. So for me, man, both of my favorite careers, I guess, seasons are for the shorter people, right? Allen Iverson is my favorite all time, but going back into this question, the guy from Davidson, you know what I'm saying, Davidson College, the short man that everybody didn't know.
That man is not short. That man is not short. I mean, he is my height.
Bro's legit.
He is my height.
He was your height, but he was like 170 in college, right? So he was smaller, you know what I'm saying? Like he was a smallest guy on the court pretty much. But now seeing his career go, into Golden State, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm not a fan of didn't start there, but I would watch Steph Curry and I would watch Monte Ellis play too. And then once I saw the Warriors get rid of Monte Ellis with Steph Curry, it had me like, whoa, what the hell are they doing? Like we know Monte Ellis was balling, right? And then the 2015 and he pretty much broke the internet with his 3-point shooting, right? Like everybody was retweeting, liking the Steph Curry plays, averaging 30 points a game, 2 steals. Like that's when Steph Curry really became Steph Curry and changed the game of basketball was that 2015 season. And to top it off, end of the ring after everything, it was pretty dope to see, so his playing from Davidson to, going through everything he did in his earlier Warrior days with the ankle injuries and stuff like that. Winning the championship was pretty cool. So the Warriors, I think it was a 2015, 2016 season or 14. Yeah, 15, 16 season.
Yep.
So, yeah.
That was my second. I was choosing between there and Derrick Rose, so I know exactly what season.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm getting ready to bore you with some stuff about this person, but just stay with me. This person in this season averaged 24, 10, 2, and 2. So that's 24 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, but also, 2 blocks and 2 steals. This person averaged 32 points a game in the playoffs. This is, to me, this was the year of the coming out party of naming this player a top 5 player for the remainder of his duration of time until he gets injured again. This came from the 2014-15 of Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Also during this year, Anthony Davis was number 5 in the MVP rankings as well. They lost to the Warriors. If you guys remember that series was a dog fight.
Man.
And Anthony Davis kept them in that every single night. And if you look at that roster, Eric Gordon and Jrue Holiday, Omer Sheik, right? Some bums with him. And he still did what he had to do. For them to lose all 4 games by about 8 points and average to a team, the Golden State Warriors, that went on to win the final. Now, also, I want us to think about this. Every team back in 2014-15 had a big 2 or 3, right? The Warriors had their 3. You can go back to the Blazers, even at that time, had Dame, CJ, and LaMarcus at that time, right? And some other teams, you had to have a big 2 or 3 to make something happen in the playoffs, or even get to the playoffs. This man put these Pelicans on his back and even beat out the Thunder for the 8th seed to play against the Warriors. We now show a lot of love to Anthony Davis because he is a top 5 talent, but we got to remember back then when he was literally by himself doing all these miraculous things and still coming up short. They didn't really get the help he needed really till DeMarcus came in 2017 with that. But again, this is the start of a now top 5 player he's been considered a top 5 player to me for at least the past 4 to 5 seasons, if not longer than that.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
That is a good one.
Yeah, I was about to say it was interesting. You picked, you talked about Portland that year because honestly, Portland, if Wesley Matthews got one down with Achilles injury like in March that year, they may have been a potential finals team if that never happened.
Yeah, that was cold as hell that year.
Golden State was still learning how to win, right? They were still learning.
That was the season before the
Memphis in the playoffs here.
Huh?
Yes, the Grizzlies.
And they lose Memphis in the playoffs here.
Yeah, he broke Mike Conley's face. CJ McCollum. Yeah, that was that year.
Yeah, and Memphis probably would have beat Golden State if Mike Conley was healthy for the entire series.
I'm already going to say that.
I'm looking at it. If he was healthy for the whole series, they probably beat him. Well, the 2 that I had, which were both MVP seasons for me, the first was 13-14 KD. So that year, KD was that season, KD was averaging 32 a game, 32, 7, and 5 for that season. And for me, what kind of put the stamping on the whole thing for Kevin Durant was he went a good, I want to say a month and a half, probably from November to like January, where he's had a streak of like games where he at least had 20. And it culminated with the one, I think it was a ESPN matchup against the Miami Heat, going up against LeBron James, and he's just destroyed. Like he literally destroyed LeBron that game. And it was like, okay, if you didn't think Kevin Durant didn't arrive, he had arrived officially after that game, and from that point on, pretty much just wrapped up the MVP for him. And who knows if Serge Ibaka doesn't get injured in the San Antonio series, get injured in the Clippers series? Who knows what may have happened in the conference finals for them that year? And then second, I got to do it. I'm sticking with the same season as B Souls with 16-17. I got to go with Russ that season, just for the fact that it was fun to watch. Of course, for everyone that don't know, it was first year without KD. A lot of fans were, or a lot of people out wanted to know like what Russ would do with a team by himself. Not much that he had there. He had rookie Sabonis, Oladipo, who was still chubby Oladipo, because you look at Oladipo then, look at him now, two completely different people. First season averaging a triple-double at 30, 10, and 10. Probably his best as far as efficiency is concerned. Shot 34% from three, which is actually good for his standards. Shot just a little north of 45, little close to 45% from the field as well for Russ. Just like what she was talking about for Anthony Davis, willing the Pelicans to that playoff series against the Warriors as an 8 seed. Russ will OKC to a 6 seed that year against the Houston Rockets. They managed to get one game, but hey, just watching that season was just remarkable from that point. So if I had to give my two, it would be Russ 16-17, KD 13-14. And anything else before we move it to wherever we need to move it to?
The Tigers did not get picked for the tournament, but Wichita State did. That is interesting. I personally would not have put Wichita in the tournament because they got dogged by Cincy, and Cincy got dog walked by. But I mean, shout out to the American Conference for getting 2 teams. I'm ready to see Memphis in the NIT. Hopefully they can play the NIT, but
hopefully they can win the game, and then if they play it.
That is true.
Hey, I ain't about to complain about any teams who got in the tournament. Memphis didn't deserve it.
Yep, they didn't. They didn't deserve it.
Yep. So end off, Cheaty.
All right, thank you. So before we close up, do want to make sure we do a few things, with like 2 quick things. Well, one really. Our last series with African Americans, Blacks, and higher education and loans and stuff like that, I think was very successful. This is Women's History Month this month, and so there will be a series about women that we'll be discussing more and more on Schooling with Sheedy. I do want to put this out there as well as the last part. March 13th, 2020, that was last year, of course, a year almost to the day. We lost Breonna Taylor, who was not a celebrity. She was not someone running for office. She was nothing until she was gunned down inappropriately by the Louisville Police Department, and thus started many of things here that now go on. And so Breonna Taylor did never receive her justice. I don't care how many millions of dollars you pay to someone or their family. That's never a justice for them actually having a breath of life. And so I do want to give that to her and have this quote as well, because one thing I definitely learned was how transformational our women have been during these rough times, and also the WNBA for leading the charge on many of issues. But do want to leave on this. If there's one thing I've learned in life, it's the power of using your voice. And I believe the women have done a phenomenal job with that. And I want us as men to also do the same. with that and move forward with it. So again, Brown and Taylor, we still know you. We're still here for you and your family through all of this, and it's wrong. But again, as well, we'll be starting a women's series next week with Schooling with Sheeta, so be on the lookout for that.
Okay, good. So remember, coming up, let's start up tomorrow. Got a couple podcasts coming up really soon. Schooling with Sheeta will be his own podcast soon. Took is still coming up with something, and Trevor's coming out with the Steelers around draft time in April. So stay on the lookout. Let's be real
quick. We'll have IDK. I'll do a review of Last Chance U basketball. It'll hopefully be out sometime midweek, but I'm like halfway through, so I gotta watch the last 4 episodes. But it is good. I highly recommend it. It's good.
I'm definitely gonna try to start this soon.
I watched the first episode yesterday. I was like, cut it off now because I'll be up to 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
They do a good job on this.
It's good,
I'll
man.
only watch one episode, but you can tell it's gonna be good.
I'm watching tonight, so
I'm sure gonna probably watch it tonight. See what's up.
It's on Netflix, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So once again, Memphis BNIT, the bracket will come out later tonight. I guess we'll post it on and talk about it some other time. I don't care about NIT, honestly. Me personally, but
Win the game. Win a game. And then it's all over.
Well, Skyler, season over, so you ain't got to worry about talking about them for a second.
Watching them.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, that means I can cut down on some of my drinking until the Steelers get back, and then we'll. Yeah.
All right, man. It's been real. We are free. Shout out. Free. We're free. And Twitter.
Let me go check.
Really?
We're free. Yes, sir.
Let me go check and see.
We are free.
Shout out to my Panthers, man. They did the right thing in retiring Thomas Davis and Greg Olsen. Definitely want to
see.
Hold on. Can we tweet Memphis though?
I don't know. Trevor's gonna try it out. Remember? Trevor's gonna try it out.
We need somebody to be the test dummy.
Trevor. He said he's gonna try it out.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
You doing it right now? Hold on. We need to do it right now, like live right now.
I'm doing it right now.
Okay, go on. Okay.
Hold on, hit tweet. Hit tweet. We doing this live. Hold on.
Oh Lord. We got time.
I'm still here. I'm still here.
Let's get it. Let's go.
Yes.
We free. I'm still spelling it.
now. So we
I'm
good.
still spelling it with an F though. So I'm still spelling it with the F like I tweeted out.
Yeah, right. That's crazy, man.
Free. Yes, we do.
I love freedom.
Everybody does. I love it.
I love freedom.
It's been real. Until next time.
Peace.
Can't ban the Memphis.